everyone, I hope you're doing well. My name's Katie and I make book-related videos every single Wednesday. And first, I just want to say a huge thank you to you guys for all of your nice comments about some stuff that's been going on with me in my last video. You definitely didn't need to comment all of that. They're much, more difficult things that other people struggle with, but that was just so kind of all of you guys. And I also took into account a lot of your comments and those of you who voted on the Twitter poll. And as you might have noticed, I changed the intro music. I went back to that old music and I was very happy to go back to my old intro song because the current one was just getting very grating to me. But today I'm going to be reviewing The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter, and I promise that even though this is, I think, the third Karen Slaughter book I've read in a row, I need to slow down and stop and read something else because this can't just be a Karen Slaughter book review channel. I mean, it easily could be. She has so many books she's written, but I need a little more diversity in what I'm reading. I need to branch out. So the next book will not be a Karen Slaughter review. So I'm going to get into the summary, pros and cons as usual, but as usual, of course, zero spoilers or any of that. So for those of you who have read this book, you're gonna know that it's very difficult to give a summary without giving away what happens at the beginning of the book. I know most summaries, even the one on Goodreads, just flat out says what happens, but even though it's right in the beginning, I'm not really gonna give too much detail, so don't worry, I'll be very vague. But essentially in the beginning of the book, you have Charlie and Sam. Sam's the older sister. She's, I think, in her late teens, and Charlie is her younger sister. She's a tween, I believe it is. I think she's like 11 or 12. And they're both at home with their mom, who's a very funny character and named Gamma, very interesting. Their father is a lawyer who's away from the house, and a lot of people are not the biggest fan of their father. And so they're at home in the countryside in Georgia, and two men with guns break into their homes, and it is an incredibly gripping first chunk of a book. It's just absolutely terrifying. And then the rest of the book jumps forward in time and a different, very terrifying event occurs. And so I won't say who is trying to solve this, but a certain character is trying to figure out exactly what happened during this present day tragedy. So that's all I'll say in terms of summary, and now I'm gonna get into the pros and cons. So for the pros, as I was kind of getting at, I have never experienced such a riveting first chunk of a book. I was literally just white knuckling the entire time. And if you look at any reviews on Goodreads, they're gonna say the exact same thing, because the way this book opens is just so horrifying and so jaw-dropping. And it's not that it's what happens in the first chunk is things I've seen happen in other books. It's not like it's such a uniquely horrible thing, but it's just a testament to how good Karen Slaughter's writing is, which is the other pro I had. There are other authors who I'm sure have written similar events, but her writing and the way she builds up momentum and dread and the way she writes gore is just so well done and so terrifying in the best way possible. Also for the twists, I would say the majority of them got me, which is a pro. There was one or two that I kind of guessed, but overall there are a lot of twists like any other thriller and like any other Karen Slaughter book, and I thought they were all really well done. And one aspect that might be a weird aspect to like about the book, but all I'll say is one of the protagonists, her marriage is kind of falling apart, or has fallen apart, and I have to say, I love her husband so much. I'm trying to find this type of guy in real life, but anyway, so their marriage has fallen apart, and for the majority of the book, you don't know why it has. All you know is that she keeps saying she was in the wrong, and so you're trying to guess what exactly is it that she did. And I love what it ends up being, and again, I'm not going to say what it is because I think it's something so common and that so many marriages experience, so many people in relationships experience this, and it's so kind of simple in a weird way, but when I really thought about it, I never see marriages really fall apart in books or movies for this reason, where one character starts doing this type of thing, but it's so common and prevalent in real life, and you see it happening all around you. So I thought that was really interesting and well done, the way that she handled their marriage and kind of what she was doing and why it fell apart. Now getting into cons, because I do have one or two kind of main cons, and this is why I ended up kind of knocking off a star and giving it 4 out of 5 stars. Again, I do really love it, but I will say I did like Pretty Girls a tiny bit more. And the main reason I knocked off a star was because as much as I loved the characters, as much as I loved her writing, The pacing to me, I had some issues with. Like I said, the beginning of the book is so intense, so gripping, and then the rest of the book never really matches that momentum. And I know you might be saying, well, Katie, not every single book, and I know you might say that, you know, Katie, not every single book has to kind of ebb and flow like this in terms of momentum. You know, some books can have really slow starts, really intense beginnings, or vice versa, and I get that, but I think it's the combination of the intense momentum that the beginning has and then the lack of it, combined with the fact that there's not really a villain for a lot of this book in the present day. And so the combination of the lack of momentum throughout the rest of the book and the fact that there's not really a villain that you're like, oh, I wonder if this person's gonna pop out, I wonder what's gonna happen. For me, it just made me keep feeling like, okay, but when's it gonna get going again? When's it gonna get going again? And for me, it never really matched the beginning. Again, I still loved the book because I loved all the characters and I loved her writing, but the pacing did feel pretty lopsided to me. And this isn't a con, and this is something I've kind of talked about in all of my Karen Slaughter book reviews, but it is incredibly, incredibly graphic. And I can't remember if I already said this, but I do want to point out that there's trigger warnings for murder, for miscarriages, and for sexual assault. And with one scene in the book that happens, I would say about 3/4 of the way in, it was graphic to the point where I stopped being like, oh, this is so good that she went there and that she's not afraid to be graphic. It was to the point where I was like, I don't think I can keep reading this scene. And I just feel the need to point that out because you guys know that I'm not squeamish. And so for me to say that says a lot. And I don't think that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just something I want to be very upfront with you guys about. But at the same time, if you guys are watching my channel, that's probably because you like thrillers and you like horror novels. And so you're probably also not very squeamish, but just again, throwing it out there, I don't normally get freaked out. And at one point I really had to just like put this book down and then come back to it like a few days later. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Please let me know if you've read The Good Daughter or any other Karen Slaughter books, what you thought about them. I know she has a recent book out called, actually let me Google it. So yes, her newest book is called The Kept Woman, and actually it looks like that came out. Oh wait, no, The Good Daughter is her newest book. It says The Kept Woman came out in 2016. Never mind, but still, if you've read that one, let me know what you think about it. And also, I just thought about this. Have no Karen Slaughter books been made into TV shows or movies yet? Because if that hasn't happened yet, that needs to change immediately. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.